liability of crime.
Hello, everybody. What's up? Happy Halloween. I got a little version of the skeleton going on. So happy Halloween, everybody. Again, today we're going to have an all-star cast. And I woke up this morning. I woke up last night many times and I kept thinking, man, I really want to see the crime crew today. And I wasn't going to film. So now I came on early. So I am Jay with Guilty of Crime. Welcome. Welcome to everybody that's here every day, and welcome to any new folks that are catching me on a live for the first time. Now, I did dress up the other day with my Jack Skelly costume, but today I just wore a long sleeve skeleton shirt, and it's kind of a spooky theme. Today we're talking about Stephan STERNS. We're going over this again because I can't stop thinking about it, and him implicating Jenn Soto again. This is the second time I feel like he is implicating Jenn. I know that his parents want to implicate Jenn so bad, and so do I. But really, we're going to have a discussion because a lot of people don't think that he's talking about Jenn. They think he's victim blaming. So, and other things. We're going to talk about that. So, jail calls reveal much more about the Madeline Soto case. So, welcome everybody. Happy Halloween. Yes, if it's your first time here or you haven't been here in a while, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hit the like button on your way in. Please do subscribe if you haven't, and then share with your community. Miriam Montalvo, blessings to you. Blessings to you. All right. Pure Romance by Stacy Rad. It's good to see you. I try to catch a live current situation. I'm at work. I was supposed to be at work, but I got my work all done and now I'm here. So hello, Debbie and Deanna and PGH. Feb, good to see you. Some horns, huh? It's a Mean Girls approach. All right. Phil. Melly, he is spooky. Oh, what's up, Sadie's mama? How you doing? You guys got the cute little pumpkins. Now, quickly, Miriam says this morning, Kissimmee DA had set up a news conference. I really thought it would be about this case, but no. You know what? It's probably about the trafficking that's happening over there in Florida. There's heavy trafficking. Next week, we're going to get into, trafficking and social media, the trafficking that's happening on social media and how it's being tracked, what can't be tracked. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy to dig into this stuff. Welcome, Krista. Yes, hashtag arrest Jenn Soto. As we get into this episode, we got our little trigger warning, killer potato. And Jenn is a piece of poop hiding out until she faces her reality jail. And I do believe that discussion is important, talking about her checking into a mental institution when this happened. I don't know how long, and we can't find out because of HIPAA law. We're not going to be able to call and say, we're not going to call and say, how long was Jenn in there for, or get details. We just won't. All right, you guys hear about the Kissimmee Police Chief resigning? Yes, and I'd love to talk about that further. So, being fired, resigning. Yeah, I bet you something happened internally, and he doesn't want to embarrass himself because that's what happens many times. Marilyn, good to see you, my friend. And congratulations, Pure Romance. All right. Congratulations, being a grandma again. Potato Jen needs to go. All right, so we're going to talk about the potato Jen and the implication that I believe is an implication about Jen when Stephan says, and it's happened before, when Stephan says, I didn't start it. We're going to talk about what the heck that statement means, I didn't start it. And you got to listen to what he says, what's said before, because somebody asks him, there's something before that context that makes him say, I didn't start it. And the speculation is crazy because people aren't listening really exactly to what the first context is about that he answered to. So everyone just says, I just takes that statement and runs with it. But we're going to do that today again. So what's up, Avis? How you doing? Good to see you. Happy Halloween, everybody. What's up? Hit the like, subscribe, get your members only. If you have the means to gift memberships, whatever, super chat, super sticker, whatever you can do, all good. Happy Halloween. I hope you guys are dressing up, trick-or-treating, whatever it may be. All right, let's get to this. I really wanted to watch this with you today. That was my number one reason for coming on. And well, I miss you. I wanted to see you all on Halloween. I really wanted to see you on Halloween, but then I saw this all-star cast. I saw Grizzly on there again, and I know how nervous Grizzly gets when she goes on something. So now take a look at this picture here. Madeline Soto at her 13th birthday party, and look at the right-hand corner. That picture is from Jenn Lizette. So if anyone, or Lisette, that's Jenn Soto. That's the name she's going by now. She's not trying to go by Jenn Lisette or Jenn Lisette Soto. We did a background check on Jenn Soto in the very beginning, and we found out that she had a domestic violence or DV charge when she lived in St. Cloud. Now, when you hear St. Cloud and 192, if you guys are followers of Guilty of Crime, 192 it's a thing, right? 192 is that long, is it a highway or a freeway? That long stretch of road that goes all the way from everywhere, but from where they were in Kissimmee and then all the way down into St. Cloud, Stephan got a flat tire and dumped the body at 192. So 192 St. Cloud, that's where Maddie was left. That's where Jenn Soto got a domestic violence back in the day. So if you're kind of looking for, it's Old Hickory Road. If you're looking for Jenn Soto or you're trying to find social media or anything about her, you might find her under the name of Jenn, Lissette, Jenn Lisette. So, all right. Now, her family's in the same spot they've been. They do watch our shows. And when we hear that, we might hear the piece of call again. I don't know if the whole thing's playing, but we might hear that piece where they talk about the lady on YouTube that talks about this party. So let's get going. Hello, everyone. Nope, not today, since I'm scary today because of my allergies. Oh, no. I'm glad I don't have allergies today. All right, let's get into this. It's 43 minutes. I'm reacting to it and we're discussing it. So let's do it. If you guys are at lunch, thank you for being here. Put your headphone in and work and listen.
But at the home of a relative. Her mom, Jenn Soto, couldn't go to the party because she was working, so Madeline's aunt dropped her off after the party. That night, Jen's on-again, off-again boyfriend, Stephan STERNS, was at the house to watch Madeline. Jenn got home at around 10. At around 11, Jenn went to sleep and told Stephan to go to sleep with Madeline in the guest bedroom upstairs. That was the last time Jenn says she saw Madeline alive. Stephan says he dropped Madeline off at school in the morning, but Madeline never made it to school. She was murdered and discarded about 20 miles from her home. Prosecutors have charged Stephan with that murder, but they've also charged him with something else: years of sexual abuse. They say they found incriminating images of STERNS abusing Madeline on his Google Drive, abuse that goes back more than 4 years. After his arrest.
And it's a lot more than 4 years. We know that, everybody. I think they're being safe on here, but this is a great episode they played about 15 hours ago. Grizzly's on this, and they've tied everything they know together now that we have that document out, the 501 pages that have some things that we've seen and some we haven't. Well, we're going to continue digging through that document to bring you more information about the iCloud, about the Fitbit, about pieces that you have not seen before, because I'm sure you haven't had time to go through the 501 pages. Hello to Diana Perez for being here while working. I'm glad you got to join a live too. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way in. Yours truly, how you doing? Rua, crocheting and listening from Ireland, all the way from Ireland. Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you guys caught this today. It's going to be a good one.
Rest, Stephan spoke to his parents on a jailhouse call, revealing more into his state of mind after being charged with this horrific conduct.
It is so incredibly tragic, the life of Madeline Soto, to be sexually abused for all.
Absolutely, it is, for 6 or 7 years. And Avis just gifted 10 guilty of crime memberships. So if you don't have a membership, make sure your gifting option is on and chat with us, because if you chat with us, you have a better chance of winning a membership. Thank you. Thank you for being here from Ontario, Canada. Sharp like tack. All right. Thank you, Avis. So you're amazing.
All those years, and now her abuser charged with her murder. Stephan STERNS is his name. Now, he's first arrested for what was found on his phone, which were all these images of the abuse over the course of years. Then he was charged with murder. Well, there was a phone call between Stephan STERNS and his parents. His father spends most of the time on the call, but I want to take a listen to a piece of that call, because there are parts of it that have raised a lot of questions.
I wish there was a way that, you know, you and I can have a conversation, all of us could have a conversation to understand what's taken place, how this came about, how you arrived here, because it would help us better understand the situation, because we're at a loss for understanding how all this came about. I mean, we're just totally baffled. Well, I didn't start it.
All right, so I'm going to go back for a second because I walked out and the dogs were, they were barking. I didn't want you to have to hear that. San Jose, California, Mike Taylor. I'm in San Jose, California. Now I'm going to go back, because listen to the context before he says, I didn't start it. That's the whole important part of when he says, I didn't start it. What does that mean? Let's speculate before they do. But let me go back to that part, because what I think what he means when he says I didn't start it is, I think he means that he didn't start it, Jenn did. And what are we talking about? Taking Maddie's life. People aren't listening to that part of it. Now, yours truly, you're on the victim blaming board with poor Maddie. So are some of these all-star cast people up here today. So listen up what he says again, before what they say to him for him to react.
Of it that have raised a lot of questions.
I wish there was a way that, you know, you and I can have a conversation, all of us could have a conversation to understand what's taken place, how this came about, how you arrived here, because it would help us better understand the situation, because we're at a loss for understanding how all this came about. I mean, we're just totally baffled. Well, I didn't start it.
Now, what is he talking about? How all this came about? Because they are talking about her life being taken originally in this call. So they didn't talk about they didn't necessarily talk about the essay or the whole thing, or her Maddie starting to sleep in bed with Stephan, etc. So in my opinion on this is the second time now that he's reacted that way. And in my opinion, I think he's talking about Jenn Soto again. That's the only person that's going to help him to not get the death penalty. So if Jenn Soto started this, she came in, let's say she said, Stephan, go, and he blames Jenn for putting Maddie in bed with him, and he couldn't control his wood in the morning, and it wasn't his fault, but then in his mind, he fell in love with her, and it wasn't his fault. He didn't start it, Jenn did, but then she let it happen. If he blames Maddie, I don't know what good that is going to do him, and he's very aware of the sentence that he's facing, even though he's in La La Land a lot about, I might get out at some point. So I don't know. I mean, I've always felt like that too, Rabbit, that Jen's had so much more to do with things. So when somebody's blaming somebody else, I'm wondering, and I'm not really necessarily thinking that it's Maddie, unless you watch Mandu and you hear these guys, which I heard last night, a guy saying, she was winking at me or giving me a look. It was her fault. And she's like 4 years old, right? So if he's that delusional, then okay, but I don't know how. I don't know. I don't think that. How can someone possibly blame Maddie for anything? That's what I'm thinking too. Now they can, because if you watch these guys trying to get off on parole, they're always blaming the victim. So we had to talk about it, and they're going to discuss this too.
Oh, you didn't start it, but you participated in it, which is just as bad as not starting it.
Now they know they're being recorded. Everyone, I mean, the beginning of the call is, you are being recorded. So they both know that. They acknowledge that they want to talk about this, but they can't. But then this statement by Stephan STERNS, well, I didn't start it. I didn't start it. That brings me to my first question of our investigation, which is regarding that statement. What does Stephan STERNS mean? I didn't start it. Who started it, and what is the it? He's in jail.
Exactly. And they're all going to have a different meaning on here when they talk about what the heck does Stephan STERNS mean by I didn't start it. Didn't start what? Because he sure can't say that he didn't start essaying her when she was, 6 or 7 years ago. He can't say that because they have pictures of him doing it. How could you not be responsible for that? I mean, it was his phone, his images, his recording, all of that. The Jen's not in there or she would be arrested already. So is he pointing to Jenn, and maybe Jenn pushed her off and knew? That's why she talked about the Woody Allen situation. She knew, but she wanted to keep him. Or is he talking about the actual taking of Maddie's life that night? Like, how specific is he being? What are they saying? All right. Yvette says, member for 3 months, love being part of Guilty of Crime. Thank you. And it's really not that obvious. You're saying they are obviously talking about him, why he did what he did, in what moment he became this monster. I don't know that. I'm not sure it's that obvious. I wish it were. All right.
He's in jail for 2 things: facing charges of the abuse over the course of years and for the murder. So what does Stephan STERNS mean when he says, well, I didn't start it? Here to help us figure all this out, YouTuber and the host of Grizzly True Crime YouTube channel, which has owned this story, Gisela K is with us, and also clinical and forensic neuropsychologist.
And that's why I should be up here too today, because we've owned this story as well. So I'll say that Gisela owns this story, and we also own a part of this story. When I saw this, I was like, I need to be right next to Grizzly and all of them, because we've owned this story since the beginning. And I think the mods know so much about this story. I think they know more than almost anybody does, the mods on this channel, just because of the research they've done, the FOIA request, etc. Now, of course, Grizzly True Crime is the queen. But yes, Skip to my Lou just found this channel. Thank you for continuing to cover this case. Justice for Maddie Soto. Thank you. Good to see you. Yeah, I agree. I partially do too, and I wanted to cover this today. And I do think that many chomos, many predators do blame their victim. But for this, I absolutely think that he's referring to Jenn, and I hope it starts to come out more and more. Thank you, guys. Thank you all. Let's keep going. We all own it on this channel. The whole crime crew owns this case as well.
An author of the book, The New Rules of Attachment, Dr. Judy Ho. All right, Gisela, let's start with you. How did you interpret this when you heard that statement from Stephan STERNS?
At first, my heart dropped because immediately I thought, is he victim blaming? Is he blaming Madeline? And the reason I thought that is...
All right. Yeah. And you're going to see different perspectives. Karina, glad I made a live. Hashtag I took my meds. Hashtag arrest Jenn Soto. Karina, I didn't see any other messages from you, but please do put them in chat. And if you have the means to gift a membership or like Yvette did, thank you, Yvette Finn, or a super chat, super sticker, we'll get it up there. I'll try to get it up there as much as I can, though. I didn't see the other one. I'm sorry. Chat's flying a bit. All right.
Is because he'd spoken to the police before and said, well, there was an incident where she did something with the phone when she was much younger, but she wasn't scolded for it. So I remembered that comment. I'm like, oh my goodness, is he blaming Madeline? Either that, or of course, my interest was piqued of, well, then who started it? Is he shifting blame to Jenn Soto? Is it a whole?
Right. And I didn't think that I actually did not think he was victim blaming when he said Madeline did that on the phone. I absolutely never thought about him victim blaming when he said that. I felt like he was justifying any pictures that got caught. He knew they had taken his phone. He knew that he had did a hard reset on his phone multiple times. And he thought, hey, if a picture or two, not 35,000 pictures get through, I can justify it by saying, oh yeah, when Maddie was little, she was doing something on her phone. She took some pictures that we didn't approve of. Absolutely grooming. But what I'm talking about here is I don't find that he was trying to victim blame. I felt like he was trying to justify. And predators always victim blame when I hear them trying to get out on parole. Absolutely. But I do think he was trying to justify the picture. So by him stating that he didn't start it, is he possibly saying he wasn't the only one? That too, Karina, that too. That's a good possibility. And I've always thought that as well. I've thought all three of them could have been in the same bed doing the same things, but no pictures were taken, obviously, of Jenn there. So Gothic, Bree, thank you for the 5 Guilty of Crime memberships. I appreciate you guys all so very much. Thank you. And welcome to the new members. Mai Tai, what's up? All right. Thank you.
Whole network of people, I wonder.
And let me follow that up though, because what do you think? Do you think the it is the abuse of Madeline, or do you think it's connected to the murder of Madeline?
Very interesting question. That could also go either way. My mind went first to the creation of that content. Like, I didn't start it, but yet he had 35,000 other pictures of other children. So whatever he is trying to deflect blame from, it seems to me like he may have started it. He's just doing the typical predator thing of, well, it's not my fault. They made me do it, or it was too tempting, or it's her fault, or whatever it is.
Dr. Judy Ho, this is...
And I thought that too, it's too tempting. The fact that Jenn sent Maddie to bed with him and said, I need sleep. It was too tempting for him not to do it. And she had been doing that for years and it wasn't his fault. It just happened. He's going to tell them some fantasy tale that, they fell in love. Look at Maddie's messages. Maddie's messages say, we're going to have a baby together and get new parent coins. And look at how many times she texted me. I cared about her deeply. I loved Maddie. That's what I feel like if he ever does say anything, that's what he's going to say. I mean, I just don't see any other out for him or any other justification, but I do see the messages like that. And those messages reflect that. That poem, the note. Ugh. Bree, what's up? Thank you for the $10 super sticker. I appreciate you. Anybody else want to chip in? I would send my own, but that would defeat the purpose.
They know they're being recorded. He knows he's being recorded. So he's not necessarily going to confess, but it is sort of a confession to being involved in whatever the it is. What did you take from that statement?
And I'll stop interrupting for a second just to say, but I'm here to react to this. So just to say that he did implicate himself just now. When you say I didn't start it, you're completely implicating yourself. It's like saying, they robbed a bank. I didn't start the plan. I didn't come up with the plan, but I was there. You're still implicating yourself. You're still going to be liable for probably a maximum sentence just as well.
Exactly. Inherent in that statement is that there was some direct involvement. Yep. And just as Giselle said, we don't know. It is quite cryptic, but most oftentimes criminals, predators, they view themselves as oftentimes doing something that isn't so wrong. They've justified it to some degree. They've explained it away so they can still be a good person. Most people, even mass murderers, don't necessarily think of themselves as evil, right? You can say that that's poor insight, but I would also say that that is a form of human protection of your own mind. You don't want to believe that you're a horrible person. So you make up an excuse that what you did is somehow not as bad as everybody else thinks. So I wonder if something like that is going on. And of course, if that is going on, could be somewhat subconscious, but it could also be intentional, like deflecting the blame so that he gets a lighter sentence. We'll see how the evidence bears out because, I mean, he's running out of excuses.
Yeah, and the other part that we've been talking about, you know, throughout, once we learned this fact of the sleeping arrangements as well, was something that sort of struck my mind. You know, the sleeping arrangements, was Jenn the one that started this whole thing, and he's pointing the
That's another thing I think he's referring to. But yeah, he is definitely trying to say it wasn't intentional. It was not intentional, and he did not premeditate it. I don't know if he thinks that he's going to get a lighter sentence if it's not premeditated, but he's clearly said that it wasn't premeditated because he had no reason for himself to want Maddie gone by any stretch of the imagination. She was that was the it thing for him. He owned her, he controlled her, he had all the power over her. He had all the access to her he wanted. Why would he want her gone? Why would he plan to do that? You could clearly see the messages between them all day long, every day, most of the time, like the friend said. So why would he say that? Now, if he has dirt on Jenn, I think he would have told it before, but he's also not talking. He's a martyr taking the blame. No, I think that he just is he's playing it cautious. He thinks that he has a chance from whatever his lawyers telling him to be quiet. So yeah, you're welcome, Skip to my Lou. Absolutely. And from Australia, how you doing? And Pickle Me Elmo's been lurking. Hi, pretty guilty of crime. Nicely done with today's content. Very detailed. Thank you, Mr. Mike. How you doing? All right. And Jenn has claimed so many times that she had to watch Maddie via her meds, keeping her on task. How did she not notice this? That's the whole thing. She did, because look at her talk about the Woody Allen situation. How did she not? Yeah, Mai Tai, could be. I don't know. We don't know what the cops have. We don't know what the police have. We don't know what the premeditation was.
finger there. Well, Jenn is the one who set up the arrangements that I would sleep with her daughter. I don't know. I want to take a listen here to this interview with Jenn Soto, who obviously is in the middle, like in this picture, literally in the middle of all of this. Here's what, and listen to what the investigator asks her as well. Both are interesting.
Thank you.
The videos, the text messages, the images, they're all documented forever. This has been an ongoing thing. And at her age, I think she probably thought they were in a relationship. She probably thought they were in love because he.
Yep,
Her
absolutely.
male attention, right?
And let's thank Grizzly True Crime. Even though we're watching court TV, look at that. Look at that on the screen. It says Grizzly True Crime. They used her video. Good job, Grizzly. And Gizla. I don't know if I'm saying that wrong, but Gizla K is what she says.
She just started liking boys, right? She just got a crush.
And Gizla, this is what you were talking about, right? The fact that maybe he's pointing the finger at Madeline for starting this relationship, but it's not. I'm clear. I know it's not a relationship. The detective knows it's not a relationship. It's abuse, period. But looking at it in a different context through the warped mind of Stephan STERNS, he could be saying that Madeline started this whole connection. I mean, that is just wow. Is that?
That is terrible, and we've seen it often with predators. That's what they do. They blame the victim.
I'm looking at this guy, and I'm trying to. Well, let's do this. I want to put this up. This is Madeline, who had a conversation with her guidance counselor, Dr. Judy Ho. I want you to take a look at this. Madeline reported that her mom's boyfriend was living in the home and she didn't like him because he was weird. When she pressed Madeline about why she felt he was weird, she claimed it was because he ate all their food, hangs out in their living room, and makes her feel uncomfortable. Madeline reported in December that mom's boyfriend was moving out of the home and that made her happy.
Now, I'm trying to take that at face value, but I'm also thinking, I wonder if she's saying that because there's a little bit of uncomfortability of her maybe having a crush on somebody else. And I say somebody else because I really do think Stephan Stern groomed her so well that she would text him just weeks before. We need these little coins of mommy and daddy, maybe their fantasy world, or even if it wasn't their fantasy world, mommy and daddy could mean Stephan is the daddy and Jenn is the mommy. Remember, all three of them up until this point were still sleeping in a king-size bed together with Maddie in the middle of them. So this statement, I'm wondering, is it just a bit, like a bits and pieces? Number one. And number two, I was also watching a video this morning where somebody in Kissimmee, a young girl that was 14, 15, went to her counselor and told on somebody like Stephan Stern, and they didn't believe her. They made her go back and collect her own evidence in order to convict him. So what is going on? I mean, I just don't get it. And hello, Hope Pool, finally caught alive. Love the fam. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much, Jay, for sharing the awareness. Absolutely. You're right. Yeah, he did make her uncomfortable, but that was just a little bit and a little piece of what was happening there. That's what I'm like, why didn't she say more? Well, because he groomed her well. And also, I think at some point she did feel like she was in love with him. I hate to say that.
I find that is very compelling. This is like the first time we're getting something from Madeline that hasn't been filtered through Stephan or Jenn Soto. What are your thoughts there, Dr. Judy Ho?
Well, Vinnie, I think that it's not completely uncommon that a child.
And Jenn Soto and Stephan Stern absolutely were together the SEX way. Jenn said she wasn't very often because she took meds, but in another interview, she said it had been like 6 months. So absolutely, Jenn Soto and Stephan Stern were in a relationship that of SEX. So I don't know who told you that they didn't have that relationship, but I absolutely know that they did, and it was documented over the years. I mean, she was with him. It's just the last 6 months she said they weren't together. Thank you, Sharon Belko, for being a member for 5 months. Love you. Good to see you. All right.
Child may not like their parent's partner. Obviously, sometimes when parents split up, they're kind of hoping that maybe their mom and dad will get back together, or they just don't like somebody else in the house taking attention away from them. Of course, that could be somewhat normative. Of course, hindsight now is 2020, and it's like, well, what do you mean by weird that you felt uncomfortable with this person? I wish we would have more of the therapist notes and what she said. Did the therapist press a little bit and say, well, what do you mean by weird? Tell me more about that. It doesn't sound like in this particular conversation, Madeline disclosed anything that would be inappropriate. But that also is not uncommon because many times children do not report sexual inappropriateness or sexual assault until much later or sometimes.
And when they do, they're not believed most of the time. I just watched another documentary on Netflix called Into the Fire, and this girl reported it. She pulled out a red flag and lit it on fire. She reported it to the school, to her mom, to every person that she could talk to, her friends, everybody she reported it to, and nobody listened. So this guy ended up taking her life and got away with it for like 30 years. Buried her in his own backyard. Oh my God. And you guys will watch it. You can watch it unfold. It's called Into the Fire. There's so many twists and turns. And I don't think I gave it all up right now. But I always tell the story and then go backwards and break it down. Absolutely, this happens so many times. Man. And good to see you. Yes, hit the like button. Good to see you, Little Red O. I would never disrespect Maddie. However, the coins and text, and she had disappeared. Oh my God, it's horrible. Yeah, and remember, the police are leaking it out bit by bit, so we don't exactly know. And it's okay because you're not a content creator going around, saying that after the family told you don't. I don't care for you to say that. So I'll just stick with you guys are respectful and amazing people that come here in the crime crew. Kalissa says we need to educate counselors and teachers and parents about red flags. Yes, we do. Questions to ask. It doesn't sound like they asked any questions. All right. Now, the moment says I tend to think her crushes are key to this, and they had a fight. His words offered an interrogation. Yeah, I agree that part of that. I think that it was definitely a jealousy thing. Brandon Lynn, thank you so much for the $4.99 super sticker. I appreciate you. Happy Halloween. I hope you have a really good day today and a good Halloween. Be safe, y'all.
Sometimes even never.
Gisela, the other part of this conversation that I took away from it, between really the father-son part of it, is that the father absolutely believes his son is responsible for all this stuff. I mean, getting very, very little sympathy for his son in this predicament, but he's just trying to understand how all this actually happened. Is that what you took away from it?
I think so. I mean, in that call, because we've obviously seen lots of interviews and read emails and things between Stephan and his parents, and it's, up and down. Sometimes, they say he's a monster. Other times they love him to bits, of course, because he's their son. But it did seem like the dad was really holding him accountable. Like, why did you want me to come through? Why were you wasting my time? What were you doing? Maybe we can have a conversation at some point. But of course, Stephan has to, as his lawyer said, keep his mouth shut until the trial.
All right, coming up next, we've got a lot to get to. Why did Stephan Sterns go to the storage unit?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, too. And we have all the documents now, so we're going to dig into all of this and break the documents down next week, bit by bit. We're already working on it now. Bree and I are working on it now to bring you that information. So, yeah, little booyah. You're right. Absolutely. Now, I don't know who said that they weren't active, but pregnancy tests were in Jenn's bathroom. They were in Jenn's bathroom. She had been active with Stephan like 6 months prior. And it does make me wonder if it wasn't for Maddie particularly, if it was they were older tests that were just in the closet. They had been living there a while, or maybe it was another roommate, because at some point they did share a bathroom with other people. So I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here and go away from the pregnancy thing. I've already been told multiple times, just steer away from that. So I'm trying to look at alternate theories. They had a major shakedown at Conceiving. Yep, we heard about that. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. All right. That's a good one too. That's a good trial. They're in deliberation right now, by the way. The burn pile where the lady put her husband in a burn pile, allegedly. So if you guys are watching that, let me know in chat.
Text messages, emails, phone stuff.
Pictures?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of pictures were on there?
Training card pictures, lightsaber pictures.
Here's where I'm going to be brutally honest with you. There's your phone. And I'm pretty sure you know what some of those pictures are about.
Should I be talking with a lawyer right now?
That was the key right there, y'all. He talked to them all the way up until, should I get a lawyer right now? Thank you so much, Maggie Torres Delos Medel. I don't know how to say that, but $1.99 super sticker. I do appreciate that. Yeah, the OnlyFans case, Patricia. Yeah, I'm on the radar for a lot of things. Pregnancy tests are damning. However, there were lots of women in that house. That's the only thing. And we just there's no charges. There's not a charge to say anything about pregnancy. Now, the premeditation could come from that, and it could come out that Maddie is pregnant, and then we'll know that he freaked out about the pregnancy. As soon as we hear about it, I'll be the first one to say, okay, the documents came, the family wasn't correct, and here we are. So yeah, his voice is very pitiful. Let's see what we have to talk about.
Yeah. And he knew what they found on his phone, which are all these incriminating pictures of the abuse of little Maddie Soto through the years. Not just at the time, her 13th birthday. We're going 4 years plus backwards in time. She's a little girl. Now, before he's arrested, but after Jenn and Stephan had reported Madeline missing, there's a little window of time where Stephan is a free man. And one night, he takes one of those nights, he takes a trip down to his parents' house and then to the parents' storage unit. And that comes up in the conversation with his father, because his father had set him up with a hotel room to keep away from the media, et cetera. The house was a crime scene. So he had like set them up in a hotel, and then Stearns gets in.
So let me tell you real quick, busy mom, what I'm saying, because I've lived in my house for 17 years and we've had roommates in the very beginning. Those roommates didn't share the bathroom, but there were other roommates that lived there before that did share the bathroom. So over the years, when you have this bathroom, maybe like this walk-in closet or this closet where you keep stuff, you know, girls have lots of different girl things and it gets stuck in there or piled up in there, you don't know. So those roommates didn't, but those roommates weren't the only ones that were in and out, because I know because CM lived there and they shared a bathroom with them at the same time when Juan was downstairs. So you just don't know. You can't say that. We can't say that it couldn't have been somebody else's when there are lots of women in and out of that house. Stephan was the only one that was a man. There was a boy, but not a man. He was the only man that was there. You're welcome, Lisa. And Stephanie, I had my tube side at 18 and still have a pregnancy. There you go, Stephanie. That's what I'm saying. So lots of times things pile up and they stay there. And even Jen said it was like an old pregnancy test. And maybe she was deflecting to get off of the subject, but we will find out. I can't share my bathroom. It's too weird for me. Well, you know, when you're not working and you're struggling for money and you got rooms labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, you kind of don't have a choice. And also, I mean, you guys are telling me that nobody used the bathroom, but those women probably would tell you I wasn't being filmed under the door, and there was not hundreds of pictures of me on Stephan Stearns' phone while I was naked. No way, right? Well, tell me about how that turned out for them. All right.
Jen's car goes down to the parents' house in the storage unit. Take a listen.
There's some explanation why you left and went where you went?
I was driving around.
Okay, understood you were driving around, but they know where you were driving around.
Yeah.
And we know.
Okay. I had wanted to grab a few things and get my ducks in a row, kind of prepare myself for whatever was coming, but I couldn't find what I was looking for.
The old ducks in a row. The old ducks in a row. So he goes to the store. Like, this is an important question, I think, because this is at the point where Maddie's missing. He's still free, hasn't been arrested. So what are these ducks in the row? Brings me to my next question, which is, why did Stephan Stearns?
All right, we're going to talk about that now, and we also have documentation on that. Now, somebody asked earlier a question about Jen's phone and them having her phone and downloading the information. They absolutely did download the information from her phone. They collected 4 phones, as a matter of fact, and they had to get warrants. We're going to talk about that next week, but they did, and that's the only reason I'm like, they didn't arrest her, and yet they have everything. Joyce, good to see you. I was just thinking about you. Good afternoon, happy Halloween, and tell your family to send love from Guilty of Crime. Let him meander into GP. They will get him there, right? Meander. Good to see you, Diamond Girl. It's very vague with his dad, like his dad doesn't know why he's in jail. I think he really wants Stephan to talk, and I think he really wants Stephan to implicate Jenn badly, because you heard what they talked about. You heard what they talked about with Jenn being a drug addict and sleeping all day and not working. All right, now why did Stephan Stearns go to the storage unit? I think the answer for me would be to go get the hard drive, maybe, but there could be more. What do you guys think about that? Why the heck did he go there? Do we know, really? Do we actually know?
Go to the storage unit. Back with us, Gazella K, and private investigator with more than 2 decades of experience, Jason Jensen. I want to put a couple other pieces of information out there for everyone. Here's Stearns' dad speaking in his interview on Hidden True Crime. And he explains.
I told you, all-star cast today. They're just bringing it. Now, the moment he went to, I don't think it was a tablet. I think it was a hard drive that he wanted to wipe off. But there could be more. He said get his ducks in a row, meaning he wanted to get rid of any evidence that he could. And absolutely, this guy makes me sick. Thank you, Synth, by the way, for the 5 guilty of crime memberships. Right, exactly. Diamond Girl, exactly. You nailed it. And you've got the right verbiage for me to put it up on the screen. Thank you. All right.
What was going on with one of the computers at the house? Take a listen.
Say, hey, look, there's a desktop computer at home. Maybe you guys should come get it. He said, okay, we'll make arrangements to do that. Only to find out that the hard drive was removed from it. I know it was there Saturday morning when he left.
Yep.
Because I told the police that after I found that out. So he purposely removed that hard drive. Why?
There you go. We know
so
why.
He's got a missing hard drive from one of the computers in the house. And then you've got this. This was written by a detective. I contacted Chris, meaning the father, by telephone, who stated he was cleaning out the storage unit he had on Executive Avenue. Chris stated he opened one of the storage bins and located a hard drive that would be normally housed in a desktop computer. Chris stated Stephan must have gained access to the storage unit when he made the trip to Northport on 2/28/24. Gizzle.
That is interesting before we get into this, because how did he have such an eagle eye on that hard drive? You're right, sweetie. You feel the father seen the hard drive. How did he have such an eagle eye on that but not know what was on it? Like, if you go into my storage, anything, I'm not going to be able to tell you exactly what was there and exactly wasn't and when, especially not something like that. So how did he know that, and how did he not know what was on it? That doesn't make any sense. Haha, yeah, he wants his job in case he needs it in the future. You guys, I don't know what, but I think he went to the storage to throw the cops off. I really don't think that. I think he went to the storage to get rid of anything he possibly could. Yeah, paranoia, absolutely. Paranoia could be one of them, I'm sure. All right, let's keep going.
What are your thoughts about this trip to the storage unit and the ducks that need to be put into this row?
Yep.
I think the trip to Northport itself is interesting because his dad had just come from there to support him. So off he went, and apparently, yes, he went to the area of the storage unit, I'm sure, to hide hard drives or maybe dig around in boxes there for other flash drives and things like that. But he also apparently went close-ish to the home, maybe to connect to the Wi-Fi, to access his Google Drive, to delete all of that digital evidence as well, seeing as the police already had his phone. So I think he started panicking about, those ducks in a row is really deleting everything that he possibly had.
Yeah, Jason Jensen, this makes him look so guilty and sort of in a panic mode at this point.
Oh, exactly. He's trying to clean house, trying to minimize all the things that he's doing that's illegal, and obviously possession of child pornography is a federal offense. So if anything else, he's trying to avoid detection for that particular set of crimes. But given the fact that there was a missing teenager, discovery of that would actually tie him to having a motive why Madeline would disappear. For instance, that he was modeling for additional photography, which is later discovered in his Google account that he had images of him abusing Madeline for years.
And he thought those images, Jason, were the ones that he was able to delete through the old accident.
He did. You got to remember, he still had a little bit of freedom. He was still able to do certain things, and he didn't think they had him pegged yet. And he might have thought that he was smart, and he might not have realized how sloppy he was. All right. So why would the police, Josh says, why would the police allow him to go to the storage unit? It was 2 days later, no surveillance. She was still missing because they didn't have anything to hold him. Now, they had a tracker. There was no surveillance on him all the time, but they were keeping tabs on what people were doing. All right. Veronica, good to see you. If I didn't come on today at 1:00, I wouldn't have been able to come on because it's Halloween and I got my daughter, lots of things to do with her. So good to see you. Yeah, you're right. They're all that too. And this is good to talk about. This is a great episode where there's so many different perspectives on it, and you all have different perspectives, which I respect. They can all be different.
Dental factory reset.
Exactly. But, of course, it doesn't clear anything up that's on the servers at Google. So there you go.
Yeah. So, Gisela, as we look at the way Stearns was acting and reacting, at first we saw him do those TV interviews where people were a little creeped out by the way he was acting. We've seen the body camera footage as well. What's your overall take on the demeanor and actions of Stearns between the time that Madeline goes missing and when he is arrested?
I mean, it's just another dumb criminal. That's all I get from it is he's trying to...
I think he is another dumb criminal. However, someone brought it up earlier that he looks like a husband grieving for his wife, like a real true, not like the husbands that took their wives live, right? Not the au pair that took the wife and put her picture in the wife's room and they took her life. Not the fake husbands that did the actual crime, but real husbands that lose their wife. They're devastated. They've been with them for lots of years. That's what he looks like there. He's overly dramatic. Like he should not be crying like that. No man that is not like even a stepfather or part of the life that's in and out and that your daughter thinks is weird should be reacting like that. Like she was sitting there petting him. Oh, poor Stephan, he lost it, Maddie. She wasn't even, it was just weird. It was overdone. Yeah, overdone. Just straight weirdo. Like I would be creeped out by that if some guy did that. Ugh, gross.
Cover his tracks and be cool and act believable, but none of it was coming across that way. I mean, to me, he was a red flag from that first media interview that we saw when he was cracking his knuckles behind Jenn Soto and trying to control the narrative. All of that, the drives up and down in different cars. I mean, the whole time he's wearing his Fitbit as well. Ridiculous if you think about it now, what he was doing and what we know he was actually up to.
Jason Jensen, when you look at this and you look at the allegations, do you think this appears to be a crime when we talk about the murder that was planned out or something that happened and all of his alleged actions are sort of reacting to a situation that he wasn't necessarily expecting to occur?
Well, yes, exactly. As minors of child abuse of this nature, as they grow up, as they go through, school, high school and whatnot, and they interact with others and learn that this kind of behavior with a stepdad or a boyfriend or anything like that is illegal, all of a sudden they realize, oh, I have to report this. So it wouldn't be surprising to me because it happens in other cases. The victim mentions something about, hey, what you're doing is wrong, and that person panics. It's like, I got to silence this person before I go to jail forever.
And Gisela, the overall...
I still don't necessarily see it that way unless Maddie that night fought him back or I don't want to do this, but it seems to me that she was overly medicated that night and strangled at the same time. Like her breathing levels were a lot lower than they should have been. He was doing things with her, in my opinion, and then she got strangled for some reason, but I still keep thinking it's a jealousy thing, either by Jenn or by Stephan. And I, at the moment, great comment, he's overacting, put it on the camera. Meanwhile, this is a great comment you're saying. Housemates described him as nonchalant behind closed doors. He was, and talking about him doing laundry and cleaning up after a crime was committed because he was a filthy pig. Other than that, right? Melly, thank you so much for the $3.99 super sticker. Happy Halloween to you as well. I can go get some candy with that. Thank you. Hashtag he took his meds too. I like that. And I think Maddie might have known a lot more and been a lot more grown up than we even think. I think she was a bit ahead of her time, the way that she grew up with those two, being in the middle of those two on many, many occasions. People coming in and out of the house. I think, all right, let's keep going. Justice for Maddie. Prayers for her, please.
Takeaway from Stearns in this initial phone call. Do you get the vibe that he understands the severity, that he understands that he's not getting out of prison, or is he holding on to some delusion that he's going to be walking out as a free man?
Yes, I think the latter. It sounds like he thinks he's going to get out, that he's going to need his social security card. You know, he wants to know where his toy boxes are, literally so much. So I think he was planning for, okay, well, you guys will all be gone, but when I get out, I'm going to need that social security card to set myself up. I mean, I don't know how he thinks he's getting out for those charges.
Yes. Yeah, and you look at the charges here, Jason Jensen, between the abuse and the images of all that abuse, very serious charge that in and of itself could have him locked away forever. But then you throw a murder and a potential death penalty on top of that. Seems delusional.
Very delusional.
And clearly he did think he was going to get away with it, because otherwise it would make more sense that he would dispose of the hard drive.
Yeah, let's talk about that too. Disposing of the hard drive. Now, he went down there to get a hard drive, but what the heck did he do with it? They were tracking him. They know like everywhere he went, every point he went, and they had him on so many cameras. Now, Pure Romance by Stacy, they do have a toxicology report, and that toxicology report can be released to Jenn Soto and Tyler Wallace, Tyler and Tatiana. Now, Tyler's the biological dad, and Tatiana was the stepmom, but Tyler would give all the results to Tatiana and their family and say, look at this. It wasn't released publicly, but it has been done for a while and released to Jenn. And if they gave it to Jenn because she's not part of the investigation, the parents do know. They do know, and they have every right to know what the toxicology results are without it being publicly thrown out there. Now, the toxicology, and as far as her being pregnant or not, and that's why when you say about when we talk about the family, they can tell us whatever they want. They don't have to announce it, but they can say, "Hey, girl, you're going the wrong way. We've got reports that we're not gonna put out there yet, but this is not it." So it would be lovely for us to have that. We do know she was over medicated that night, but we haven't seen any results. So,
and the SD cards in a manner that would never be found back to him and even be destroyed. Instead, he thought he was going to be able to go retrieve them because it's precious to him. He's not going to let that go.
Unbelievable. We're out of time. Gisela K, Jason Jensen, thank you both so much. I'm Vinnie Politan. We'll keep digging for answers. I see.
All right. Was that it here? Oh, no, we're not out of time. What are you talking about? We're still going, sir.
Stephan STERNS. STERNS didn't work much. He didn't own much. So he spent a lot of time over the years living in the house with Jenn and Madeline. Then, in a strange arrangement, STERNS would sometimes sleep with Jenn and Madeline. And sometimes he would sleep with just Madeline alone. Jenn says she didn't suspect anything was going on, but when Madeline went missing and was found murdered, detectives told Jenn STERNS had pictures on his phone of Madeline being sexually abused by STERNS. Her reaction to this has raised eyebrows and some suspicion, but Jenn hasn't been charged with anything, while STERNS has been charged with abusing and murdering Madeline and is now facing a potential death sentence. Meanwhile, many questions about what exactly was going on inside that home still have not been answered.
Now, in our investigation of this case, we've received a lot of documents from the investigation. But because of the nature of
And yeah, now we have more documents, and next week we're gonna do document dumps on you in pieces so you guys can get a lot more information and not have to sit there and read through them, because it really is a lot of work to do that. So you could put your earbuds in and listen to us. Thank you, Synth, for gifting One Guilty of Crime membership. Happy Halloween. And thanks, Rosie, for always getting that train going and the 99-cent super sticker. Someone should tell Paul to come on.
Of it. There, a lot of the information is blacked out and redacted. And sometimes those redactions add to a little bit of confusion about exactly who is being spoken about. And one of those instances involves a piece from the investigation involving a text message about a decision coin. Now, this is from December 16th of 2023.
All right, here we go on this new parent decision coin, y'all. So we can have a discussion about that. Again, we talked about it a bit yesterday, but we did a heavy dive into the timeline bit by bit yesterday. So it was really, really good timeline that they gave us. And then we saw a little bit of map time where we can see the roads. I do want to tell you guys, I love my daughter. You guys know that, right? She just texted me and it just melts my heart. She's like, I love you, Mom. So anyway, happy Halloween to everybody and their children. When I'm done here, you know I'm going to pick up my girl. All right. She had a Halloween thing today, and today she was a ghost. So off topic, but you guys know why I do what I do here, and you guys understand that I have a daughter that is just turned 10, and that my passion for this case and for getting justice for Maddie is just really close to home. So yeah, I will have a wonderful evening. You guys do that too. Let's keep going so I can go pick my baby up.
Redacted sends a text message to Stephan that contained a photograph of 2 coins. The coins had the inscription of New Parent Decision Coin and appeared to be from Amazon.com. Redacted, again, sends 2 follow-up texts to Stephan stating, we need this and get it for us, please. A search of Amazon for these coins revealed these coins are for new parents, where one can flip a coin to decide if it is the mother's or the father's time to complete a task for a newborn. Due to the fact that this conversation was not near Father's Day or Mother's Day, leads one to believe Redacted and Stephan had possibly spoken about conceiving a child. Wow. Now, I want to show you what we found on Amazon. This is the Amazon Parent Decision Coin. You can see what it kind of looks like. You know, on one side.
Yeah, so like I said yesterday, if you take this at face value, then absolutely. I do wish the officers would just say something, or not the officers necessarily, but the department that's releasing the documents, if Maddie was pregnant or if she wasn't. With all of this speculation, so many times we hear the pregnancy test and all these speculations about Maddie being pregnant. I wish they would just rule it in or rule it out. It's driving me nuts. Dee Dee, thank you so much for the $9.99 super train sticker. Thanks for all you do, Jay. I appreciate you very much. All right, let's keep going. And you guys talk about this. If you think that she was, I mean, we'll find out sooner or later for sure on a piece of paper, right?
It's daddy's turn. On the other side, it's mommy's turn. And I guess it's for things like changing diapers, maybe feeding the child, whatever it is, being the one that stays up at night. But wow. This is something that new parents would want to purchase, or someone planning on becoming parents. Which brings me to my next question in this investigation. Who sent this message to Stephan STERNS?
I'm pretty sure Maddie did. Maddie sent a lot of messages, and somebody said earlier, they mentioned, could Stephan have been using Maddie's phone to send things? Yeah, and we do know a time frame when he probably was using her phone. They don't talk about exactly what it was, but they talk about the time frame that night where they think Maddie was already gone and her phone was on or had moved or gone on the charger or gone off the charger. So yeah, I think that most of the time it was Maddie texting him. Many people can attest to that. And they also can attest to the fact that they would be in the same room together, texting each other while everyone was sitting there, kind of like you do with your friends, right? So you're doing that with your mom's ex-boyfriend. That's really weird and creepy. And now I don't think she knew any better. Veronica, just real quick, the trial isn't going to happen until at least 2025, September. I think there might be a January or February hearing, but it's not going to happen until 2025. September, I think, is the first one. So it's going to be a while. And there's a real date, but it's not real. It's just a hearing. It's going to be a while.
Who was perhaps talking about conceiving a child with Stephan STERNS? Joining
they
me
didn't say that.
to help get to the bottom of this, editor for the Osceola News-Gazette in Orlando, Florida. He was in the courtroom to actually see Stephan Sterns in his first courtroom appearance. Ken Jackson is with us. Also joining us, clinical and forensic neuropsychologist and author of the book, The New Rules of Attachment, Dr. Judy Ho. Now, I guess there's a couple different ways to look at this one. It could be Madeline sending this.
Now, nothing in the text messages talked about anybody conceiving a child or any kind of thing like that that we know about yet. So it's weird how they're introducing this stuff but not saying anything. They have the test back, the police officers and the people that have all the documents, whoever the county, Florida, wherever we got these from, the FOIA, wherever you guys requested them from, they have them. And the way they're releasing them leaves a lot of speculation, obviously. And I have a lot of people playing devil's advocate in here that are saying it could be an inside joke. It could be their Tamagotchis. And maybe both of them played the parents in the Tamagotchi. Maybe Stephan Sterns was the daddy and she was the mommy. Or, Osceola, thank you, Carly. Or maybe it was at face value. Maybe there's nothing deeper and it was literally them planning to have a baby or her pregnant, right? We can't rule it out
yet. This text message, Dr. Judy Ho, I want to ask you about that first. Is that something that you would conceive even possible? Now, we know there's been ongoing years of sexual abuse. Could Madeline's perception of what was going on be different from what we would expect from a victim of sex abuse?
There is a small possibility that, and this is something that we do see sometimes with sexual abuse victims, that subconsciously or consciously they try to rewrite the narrative so that they are not a victim. So this is something that is inexplicable, where people who might not have knowledge about victims of child sexual abuse would understand, but it would make it better in some way if they were in some kind of legitimate relationship, as opposed to this is a predator situation and I have been preyed upon for that many years. And this, you can see this kind of reaction ranging from child sexual abuse victims to even adult sexual abuse victims, where it's a sense of trying to get a type of control over the situation, but clearly it's misguided and it's almost like Stockholm syndrome, but very, very different from that, in that there's a child sexual abuse component here.
Right.
Right.
And Ken, I want you to take a listen to this, because the other thing that people have been talking.
Now, we both said right at the same time, because I do think that Stephan Sterns had her so groomed that he had her groomed to the point where he was telling her, you're mine. We're going to, when you're old enough and we can come out together, we're going to be this and that. I'm going to give you this and that. And, I'm not with your mom, but all that stuff, like he was a boyfriend. But there got to a point at the end where she was just over it. That's why she was doing better in school. That when he was gone, she got student of the month. That doesn't sound like a girl that is missing Stephan Sterns, that he moved out. No, this is not the permanent time, Lynette, at all. Just today, because it's Halloween and I got things to do later. So 4 p.m. normally. 4 p.m. Pacific Standard, and then Eastern 7. The trial is even farther away than what you think, Avis, because those dates are just pre-trial, and there's probably going to be a bunch of other stuff that jumble it up. Look at the Brian Koberger case and many others for this kind of for the capital case. Yeah, it's going to be a while.
Talking about from the beginning, alleged motive for murder was Madeline carrying a child after being abused by Stephan Sterns. Here's Jenn in her interview talking about Madeline's period.
We can go even worse. She's pregnant.
That's what questions last night led me to believe when we started talking about her period.
I was told that her and her friend, and granted, I'm male, never had a period, but that somebody found it weird that they were no longer on the same cycle. Could be different because she's a teenage girl. Could be that she missed her period. Have you ever found a pregnancy test at home? that wasn't yours?
I have 2 underneath the kitchen, the bathroom sink, but I haven't seen if they're still there or not.
All right. Now we also have
the frustrating part about Jenn Soto, and the reason that mostly want to punch her in the face, is because she can't get a straight answer out. The only straight answer she can say is what Stephan told her in that same scripted story. It's like, come on, lady, you just want to choke her. It's like, were their pregnancy tests there or not? Were they still there or were they not? Like, where'd they come from? Why were they there? I don't know. I haven't seen them in a while. I'm not really sure. Like, dude, lady, come on. Like, get it together. You should know this. Now, he waived his right to a speedy trial, I'm sure.
And it was referenced by the detective there. Madeline's friend, speaking about the menstrual cycle, she had previously mentioned her and Madeline, this is Madeline's friend, may have been on the same cycle, meaning they got their period at or near the same time monthly. But this juvenile clarified that Madeline got her period in January, but she didn't know if she got her period in February or not. Actually, that redacted may be Jenn there. Again, the redactions get sometimes confusing. So Ken, what are your thoughts here on the prospect? Because this is, a lot of people have been talking about this, right, as a potential motive, but we haven't heard or seen any evidence that Madeline was carrying a child.
Right. I mean, this was something that had been speculated early on that it would create a motive that Madeline was potentially, pregnant, and was it Stephan's? And we didn't really hear much about that in the last couple months, as some of these audio pieces have come out with Jenn, with Stephan, with the roommates. This new piece with the coins is what connected me back to that. Now, granted, it's been weeks since we even brought up the possibility of her.
Right. And I'm looking at chat right now, and it's saying something about Jenn can't have kids. Where did we say that? Jenn talked about having a couple pregnancy tests in there. I don't remember where Jenn says she can't have kids. I remember her lying one time and saying her and Stephan aren't sexually active because her medication. But then in another time they asked her if she was, she said, oh, it's been like 6 months. But I don't remember Jenn ever saying she can't have kids, especially since she had Maddie just fine. As a matter of fact, Maddie was an accident, right? That she was having an affair with Tyler while Tyler was engaged to be married, and it was an accident. So, yeah. So I don't know about her not being able to have kids. Interesting. Yeah, 2027. Anna, you're from Florida, right? All right. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Her being pregnant, but these coins are these mommy's turn, daddy's turn, Amazon coins, and you have either now you can see through the redaction, a longer first name and a shorter second name. That could be Madeline Soto, that could be Jennifer Soto. Someone saying, we need these, get these. That ties us back now to that as being a strong, maybe not a strong possibility, but more likely than zero.
And the other part of this is that Jenn Soto, they were not like boyfriend and girlfriend at this time, right? It was something strange evolving in the relationship between Jenn and Stephan, but I don't think they were sexually active. So why would they be looking?
Okay, so Tyler wasn't engaged to be married. That's okay, but he was with Tatiana. He did cheat. So however he worded it, he said he had an affair with Jenn, and then he got married to the woman that he's with, and I believe that's Tatiana. So if he wasn't engaged to be married, he was with her. He did definitely cheat. That I got right, but I have to listen to it again to say, oh, I was already engaged. But he absolutely cheated. An accident happened, and that was the pregnancy of Maddie. So, all right, Anna Fleming, you're from Osceola, and I always recognize you. All right.
Looking for these. I will play this piece, though. This is from Jenn's police interview, describing their responsibilities towards Madeline as the child. Not a newborn, but as a child.
He's not a very clean guy. He's kind of a little hoarder, a collector. So just my house was always a mess, and never the way that I wanted it to look. Or the clutter just gave me anxiety. So I asked him to move upstairs, and he did. And he lived upstairs until until December of last year. And then he moved to Northport, Florida with his parents because they had promised him a job, but that fell through. So we were in the process of trying to get him to come back up here to get his job back at Disney and for him to move back into the house for a little bit. And I'm not sure long term. I know temporarily I was willing to accept him back.
Was that something out of convenience for him because you?
A little bit of both. We missed him. And I wanted to help him out, like make it easy, like give him a place, like a base to start at, and then for him to start looking for something else afterwards on his own.
You know, Ken, when I listen to this, it doesn't make a ton of sense that it would be Jenn either, right? Because they don't have a newborn. They really weren't in a sexual relationship unless they're using.
Yeah, but they did call themselves her parents quite a bit. And after Maddie went missing, they absolutely referred to the public, to the news, to everybody like he was the stepdad. He's been there since she was a little girl. Look at the pictures of them in the pool together and how Stephan's been there for her whole life. He definitely, they try to make it appear that he was a daddy or a dad, like a step parent that was there for her. I mean, who else would be crying like that? Why would he be crying? Oh, and her be consoling him. You know, a stepfather, sometimes they actually do not, you know, there's lots of step parents that love their children and would be devastated if they lost them. And that was the role that they were playing. And yes, Emma Joy, the 500 report says stepfather every time. And so did a lot of the people that are covering this. They still say stepfather. The ones that are like the big source medias call him a stepfather. Unbelievable. But that's how they portrayed themselves, as mommy and daddy. Weird.
This coin to divvy up the responsibilities for the now teenage daughter or soon to be teenage daughter. What are your thoughts there, Ken?
I mean, if it's going to be Jennifer, that's the only thing I can think of. That seems kind of out from left field for, you know, to bring this in to help raise, for lack of a better term, a 13-year-old. You know, is it mommy's turn to help this 13-year-old, or the daddy's turn? You would think a 13-year-old could be a little more self-sufficient. So this is, like I said, this kind of came out of left field, and the only thing that I could tie it to is.
Now, we can think she's more self-sufficient, but why in the heck did Stephan Sterns have to be there for her nighttime routines and to help her get her pills? And she didn't have any friends that Jenn knew of. She wouldn't know how to get home if she was out and got lost. So they definitely do treat her, many times we hear them talk about her like if she's a baby, like she doesn't know, like she's autistic and she's not functioning.
If it's Madeline, ties it back to the potential of her being pregnant.
Right. Dr. Judy, what do you think about it being perhaps Jennifer sending this text message to Stephan? Is it about a newborn? Would it be about Madeline? It doesn't fit either, really.
Exactly. As Ken just said, it seems unlikely because Madeline is a teenager and they've quote unquote co-parented, if you can call it that, this teenager for a while. This is not something that's new for them. And this is a new parent decision coin. It's kind of like a cute way of learning, you know, who's going to be responsible for what, who's going to be the point person. If somebody's tired, can we just flip a coin because both of us don't really want to do this right now, right? So I don't think that the function of the coin, it would make sense that Jennifer was the one sending the message.
Yeah, and I think I heard a child behind you, Dr. Judy. Is that true?
Yeah, and you're probably hearing my toddler. I mean, we need that coin.
That's what I was going to say. We're going to send you one of those. All right, guests are staying with us. When we come back, still to come, where is Jenn Soto?
That's a good one, y'all. Where is Jenn Soto? Well, we know she's with her family, more than likely Stephanie. But how is she not seen outside of the house?
But since her daughter was found and Stephan Sterns been arrested and charged, we really haven't heard from her. Now, when Stephan Sterns spoke to his father in that jailhouse call, the subject of Jenn Soto came up during that conversation. Take a close listen.
No, I was wondering if you had any updates or anything.
Nope, we haven't heard a thing. Just, speculation that she's been
Hiding.
put in an institution and hiding in an institution.
At her lawyer's request. Yeah.
I mean, are you cooperating with police about her participation in any of this stuff?
There's been no opportunity for me to cooperate with anything.
All right. Did you hear that? Are you cooperating with the police about Jenn's participation? Why does Stephan's dad think that? Is he just being presumptuous? Remember, Stephan was with Jenn and Stephan's dad, Chris, was with Jenn and Stephan when they were in the hotel. What conversations did they have? I don't know that they would necessarily have that conversation about what happened to Maddie, but why is he being so presumptuous? What did they talk about? And why did he just say that? Why did he just say, are you cooperating with them about Jenn's involvement in this? Well, I know he wants her to be arrested, but how much of that is him being presumptuous, and how much of it is Stephan saying that or having kind of, maybe alluded to that? I don't know. That's what I want to know is, what is it? Is it just them being hopeful? Because Stephan sure doesn't say, no, she wasn't involved in anything. Jenn didn't know anything. He doesn't say that. He says, oh, I haven't had a chance to.
Okay, so she's in an institution. At least there's speculation that she was in an institution. Jenn Soto, have some sort of mental breakdown, which brings us to our next question, which is, I think everyone's been asking, where is Jenn Soto? Where is she? Where did she go? How is she doing? Still with me, editor for the Osceola News Gazette in Orlando. And he was in the courtroom to see Stephan Sterns, Ken Jackson, and also clinical forensic neuropsychologist, author of the book New Rules of Attachment, Dr. Judy Ho.
Staying with family, what I have heard on good confidence is that her lawyer or her legal team has instructed her to, quote, stay lower than low. So, but yeah, we did see, like I said, it was kind of a surprise that we saw Stephan in court at his hearing. The hearing itself lasted maybe 10 minutes. He was let in literally right before his case came up. He's stood there to hear charges and hear that there's about 100 and some depositions that need to be taken, and very few of them have been. And he was there in front of the judge, and when the hearing was over, he was let out almost immediately.
Any observations? Did he speak at all?
He did not speak, didn't really show any sort of emotion. He was present, is the best word I can use. Wow. He was there. Hair was neat. Beard was trimmed, because we've seen him we've seen that beard sort of in different stages. But like I said, I wasn't aware he was going to be there until literally when they led him around the corner to the And I would have bet $100 that he didn't show up, because that day I was like, I'm not even going to cover this today. He's not going to show up. And I was wrong. I was completely wrong. He did show up to that, and that was the first time that he showed up to anything. I thought he was going to be like Adam Montgomery, that didn't show up to anything until he was absolutely ordered to. So I'm glad he showed up. Does that mean that he's going to be participating more and wanting to move this forward? What does that mean? The jury box, he sat for a minute or two. His case was called. He stood up. He approached the microphone, but he did not speak.
All right, Dr. Judy Ho, let me ask you first, if any of that speculation is true that she's institutionalized or in an institution, how do you end up in one? How do you get out? And what are sort of the parameters of that type?
Oh, no, she did that often, everybody. I do want to hear this, but Jenn checked herself in regularly when she had a panic attack or life got too hard for her. And I do know people like that. And life artists, you're right. Potatoes do live underground. There's a potato here, an evil potato, just like Jenn. Yeah, she lives underground. So good to see you, Patty Ward. Happy Halloween to you. I'm glad you're here.
With treatment.
Well, there's different versions of a psychiatric treatment center. Some of them are lockdown centers where the person cannot leave. they don't have the decision making to leave possibly, or it's just the policy of the facility that, you know what, you are here and it's involuntary. That's very hard to do. It takes a high legal bar usually for that to happen. And the treatment providers actually have to go to court and ask for that. Most of the treatment centers nowadays, even if they're called psychiatric institutions, are actually leave at will. And certainly if somebody loses their child, that could cause you to have essentially a psychological breakdown. You'll need this kind of intense treatment. But I guess there's a small part of me that's a bit of a cynic, and I'm just hoping that that is not something that's done on the advice of the lawyer to make it look like, look at this is a grieving mom. She's too incapacitated to even deal with all of this. Please have pity on her. I don't know which version of the story it is right now, Vinnie. Maybe I've been working with you too much and hearing these stories too much, but I hope it's not the latter.
Yeah, exactly. I want to play one other piece of Jenn's interview, because this one
because we're all going to be like, oh, mad again. All right. And we're getting towards the last like 10 minutes of it. Y'all do me a favor, hit the like button if you like the way I present true crime and these cases and how I interact with you all, because I love having these interactive conversations like we have today. This was such a good one to have. Happy Halloween, Desiree. You gotta go. You gotta live. Yep, I gotta live happy. Hello, beautiful girl. Happy Halloween. Well, have a good Halloween, everybody. If you're dropping off, hit the like button on your way out. If you're coming in, hit the like button. And let's finish this conversation before we all go to our Halloween things.
Can't get this out of my head. And everyone, anytime we talk about the story, always talks about Jenn's potential involvement in all of this, what she knew, when she knew it. So let's play it one more time. This is from her police interview, and the name Woody Allen comes up.
I've always told him that my biggest fear is that this would turn into a Woody Allen situation where the stepdaughter or the dad grooms the child and the child then turns 18 and ends up running away with him. I told him like that was my biggest fear and I don't ever want that happening. Like, you can't do that to me. Like,
why would you say that to him?
Because I never trusted. I grew up being told never trust a man. My mom put that in my body. Never trust a man.
Yeah, what'd you do?
I can't get over this statement. Dr. Judy Ho, you know, it's like she's saying that she's always telling herself, watch out for the Woody Allen situation. And the abuse was happening under her roof. I can't put those two things together. If it's something you've thought about, if you've actually thought about it, and then it actually happens and you're oblivious to it, is that possible?
I think she was not listening to her intuition. If she really absolutely had no idea, then she just wasn't listening to her intuition. Then she completely is just, I mean, we know that she just medicated all the time. It's like her and Stephan just lived to sleep. They woke up so they can go back to sleep. They woke up so they can take a nap. They just are lazy POSs, right? And I might as well be able to cuss because this show has been, please, does Jennifer Soto strike you as a grieving mom? She looks for the easiest way out. Is there one photo taken with Maddie? No. Absolutely not, Janet. And I don't think anybody's even debating on them at that point. I think she absolutely snitched on herself. How could you have that scenario in your mind and it actually be the truest thing ever? I just don't know. It just doesn't make sense.
I have a really hard time believing that it is, Vinnie, because as you've already covered, they were bet sharing for a long time. So if you have this suspicion and your mom said, never trust a man, and you're thinking in the back of your head that this could potentially be a Woody Allen type situation, why would you allow your boyfriend to co-sleep with your child who is vulnerable to exactly what your mom was trying to warn you towards, and for something that you've had in the back of your mind because of this celebrity reference?
Yeah. And before we run out of time, we have about 15 seconds left here. Ken Jackson, and it looks like Jenn Soto's role right now is as a potential witness in all of this.
You would think. I mean, you would think that she would be a witness when Stephan STERNS finally goes to court here, scheduled in the 60 CSAM charges. It's scheduled for February. You would think her testimony would be key in convicting Stephan STERNS.
Absolutely. Big thank you, Ken Jackson, Dr. Judy Ho. Appreciate it. Wow. Jenn Soto's not been charged with anything. And police say...
No, she hasn't been charged with anything. But before we go, I want you to remember that part where she says, do I have to press charges now? Can I have time to think about it? Do I need to press charges now? And then the other part where she says, well, I can believe that he was doing I can believe he was doing the sex stuff, but I can't believe he did the evil thing, like taking her life. Now, the sex stuff was the evil thing. It's all evil. And that's disgusting that she would have to think about pressing charges and that she would even say that. Disgusting. Desiree Colette, thank you so much for the $2 super sticker. And Minnesota girl, good to see you. So don't forget about that. Yes. Wait, what? Does she have to press charges? Yeah. You don't remember her saying that? She had to think about it. And then she said, do I have time to think about it? Or can I get back to you? Who remembers that? Life Artist remembers that. Sadie's mom, of course you remember that. She didn't know. And also the evil thing was taking Maddie's life, not the essaying for all these years that he was doing horrible things to her that would hurt you.
She's not a suspect. In fact, she is, as Ken said, likely the most important witness in the death penalty case against Stephan STERNS. Now, despite that, many in the public have questioned her actions, and it's very likely that the jury will also question her actions. But thankfully, none of that will impact the case against Stephan STERNS.
It won't. It's not. Nothing's going to impact the case against Stephan STERNS. Nothing. I mean, it doesn't even matter what she says at this point. And I think that's why many of us say we don't need Jenn Soto to be a witness. It's in the bag. It really doesn't matter. But it does matter because we want her to we want her to go to jail. Yeah, she said, can I press charges? She doesn't realize it's not her choice. She's dumb. And I just wish they would arrest Jenn Soto right away. Yeah, the Pixie Head were on the new phone. All right, Kimmy, love you. Love you all. Thank you all for all the super chat, super stickers. Stacy Perry, I didn't get to shout you out, but Stacy Sperry, 1999 super chat. Don't change the thing that you're doing. Your channel is the best. I appreciate that. I appreciate that greatly. You guys have a happy Halloween. I'm so glad I got to hang out with you today. I love you. Be safe. Take the kids out. All that. I'll see you guys soon. Love you all. Mwah.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty of crime?